Have you ever wondered if you're unknowingly pushing people away, but no one has the courage to tell you? As we age, we settle into certain habits. Some are comforting, even wise. Others, however, can become blind spots. You might think you're just being yourself, but the truth is, the people around you notice. And while they may stay silent, these habits can quietly shape how you're perceived by family, friends, and even strangers. In this video, we'll uncover 12 subtle but damaging behaviors you might be doing in older age. Things everyone notices, but no one mentions. And when I say damaging, I don't mean physically. I'm talking about actions that slowly erode your dignity, isolate you from others, and chip away at the respect you've earned over a lifetime. Each of these signs is an opportunity for reflection, not to judge yourself harshly, but to gently ask, is this still serving me, or is it pushing people away? The good news? Most of these habits are completely fixable. Awareness is the first step. By the end of this video, you'll know what to watch for and how to carry yourself with more confidence, clarity, and grace in your later years. So stay with me, because a few small changes could make a big difference in how others experience you, and more importantly, how you experience yourself. Let's begin. And 1. Neglecting personal hygiene. One of the first things people notice, but rarely mention, is when someone stops taking care of their hygiene. And I'm not talking about extreme neglect. It's the little things. Clothes worn multiple days in a row, unbrushed hair, overgrown fingernails, a lingering odor. These may seem minor, but they send a powerful message. Hygiene isn't just about cleanliness. It's about how you present yourself to the world. When we're younger, these habits feel automatic. But as we age, energy fades, routines shift, and some start thinking, what's the point? That change is subtle, but people notice. They won't say anything, especially younger family members who don't want to hurt your feelings. Instead, they adjust, sitting farther away, cutting visits short, avoiding physical contact. What they're really reacting to isn't you. It's the unspoken message your self-care sends. It suggests you've given up a little, that you no longer value yourself as you once did. And here's the uncomfortable truth. When you stop taking care of yourself, people unconsciously treat you with less warmth and respect. This doesn't mean you need to dress like a model or wear cologne every day. But a fresh shirt, clean hair, and trimmed nails send a clear message. I'm still here. I still care. I respect myself and you. People respond to your energy before your words. Hygiene is one of the clearest reflections of that energy. When you take care of yourself, you invite kindness, closeness, and dignity in return. 2. Speaking without a filter. As we age, something interesting happens. The inner voice that once whispered, maybe don't say that, grows quieter or disappears entirely. You might start speaking your mind more freely, even proudly thinking, I've earned the right to say what I want. But while that feels liberating to you, the people around you often feel discomfort. There's a fine line between honesty and bluntness. If you've noticed people pausing awkwardly, shifting in their seats, avoiding eye contact, it might be a sign that your words aren't just truthful, they're harsh. Maybe you've made comments about someone's weight, appearance, relationships, or parenting, then brushed it off with, I'm just being honest. Or, back in my day, we weren't so sensitive. But here's the reality. Honesty without compassion feels like criticism. And the people on the receiving end, they rarely tell you. They just pull away. You might notice fewer invitations to gatherings, shorter phone calls, less engagement in conversation. They love you, but they're protecting themselves from the sting of those small, careless remarks. Now, this doesn't mean you should censor every thought or walk on eggshells, but it does mean pausing before you speak and asking, is this helpful? Is this kind? Sometimes what feels like speaking your truth is really just venting frustration, and it lands harder than you realize. Here's a simple rule. If you wouldn't want someone saying it to your grandchild, don't say it to someone else's. The beauty of growing older is the wisdom you carry. When that wisdom is wrapped in kindness, people lean in. they listen. They respect you deeply. But when it comes coated in sarcasm or judgment, they start tuning out. Even if your intentions are good, your words hold power, perhaps now more than ever. Use them to build connection, not create distance. If you're finding these insights valuable, comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't already, subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss future videos. Your support helps us keep creating meaningful content to inform and inspire you. 3. Wearing clothes that don't fit anymore. There's comfort in routines. Eating the same breakfast, walking the same path, wearing the same clothes you've had for years. Consistency isn't the problem. But when it comes to clothing, what once looked classic can, over time, start to look careless. You might not notice, but the way your clothes fit, or don't, sends a message. Pants that sag too loose, shirts that strain too tight, outdated styles from decades ago, shoes that have lost their shape. These aren't just fashion choices. They silently signal that you've stopped paying attention. And while no one will say it outright, they notice. This isn't about chasing trends or dressing like someone half your age. It's about showing the world you still see yourself as someone worth looking after. When people see an older adult in well-fitted, cared-for clothing that reflects self-respect, they feel instant admiration. It tells them, this person still shows up, not out of vanity, but dignity. Think about it. Would you wear the same suit to a job interview today that you wore 25 years ago? Probably not. The same applies to everyday life. Our bodies change, our coloring shifts, our energy evolves. Dressing in a way that honors your current self, not just your past, shows emotional presence and self-awareness. I don't care what people think. I'm comfortable. I've heard some say, why should I care? I'm comfortable. And that's fair, but comfort doesn't have to mean neglect. You can be both comfortable and put together, relaxed yet respectful of your appearance. Even small upgrades, like a well-fitting pair of jeans or a shirt that complements your coloring, can change how people respond to you. Not because of the fabric itself, but because of what it communicates. You're still engaged, still aware, still proud of who you are today. People won't always compliment you. They may never mention it, but they notice. They smile a little more. They treat you with quiet reverence. Like it or not, how we dress is the first impression we give the world. And even in older age, that impression still matters. 4. Interrupting or dominating conversations. We all want to be heard, especially in our later years, when we've earned wisdom through experience. But sometimes in our eagerness to share, we forget to leave space for others. It starts subtly. Someone mentions a topic you know well. You jump in with a story. You explain what they should do. Suddenly, 10 minutes pass, and no one else has spoken. The tricky part? This habit doesn't come from a bad place. Most of the time, it's genuine desire to help. But here's the problem. When we monopolize conversations, we unintentionally silence the very people we care about. They won't tell you. Instead, they'll call less often, keep chats shorter, slowly drift away. People want to feel seen and heard, not lectured. When every conversation feels one-sided, it erodes relationships, especially with younger generations who may already struggle to connect. This isn't about talking less. It's about listening more. Let pauses breathe. Ask more questions than you answer. Resist unsolicited advice. One of the most powerful things an older person can do? Hold back just enough to let others express themselves fully. Not because your wisdom is invaluable, but because theirs is too. Here's the irony. The less you dominate, the more people seek your input. The more you listen, the more they trust you. You become someone they want to talk to, not someone they brace themselves around. Next time you're in conversation, ask yourself, am I truly listening or just waiting for my turn to speak? That small shift changes everything. When people feel heard, they open up, draw closer, look forward to the next talk instead of dreading it. 5. Complaining about kids these days. It starts as an observation. Teens are always on their phones. Young people don't understand the real world. But when these critiques slip into daily conversations, They send a damaging message. I'm not interested in understanding you. Here's the hard truth. Every generation thinks the next one is getting it wrong. But when criticism becomes your default, you don't seem wise. You seem bitter. You might mean it as a joke. But to those under 50, it often feels like rejection, dismissal of their entire world. The result? They stop opening up, keep conversations shallow, hide parts of themselves, even if they love you. This doesn't mean you must agree with every modern trend, but it does mean choosing curiosity over criticism. Instead of, kids today have it easy. Try, what's it like navigating the world now? Your value isn't in comparing past versus present, but in bridging them. When younger people feel respected, they listen more, ask questions, seek you out not out of obligation, but admiration. That's real influence. And it starts with letting go of how things used to be and embracing who you can still be now. Engagement prompt. If this resonates, comment number 5 below. And if you haven't, subscribe plus turn on notifications so you never miss insights like these. 6. Ignoring modern etiquette. Some social norms go unnoticed until they're broken, like loud phone calls in public, standing too close in line, playing videos without headphones. Decades ago, these might have been overlooked, but today they make people quietly uncomfortable. You might not even realize you're doing it. No one pulls you aside and says, "Hey, could you lower your voice?" Or, "Would you mind giving me a little space?" Instead, they glance at you, avoid eye contact, or quietly move away. It's not personal, but it's definitely real. Whether you're on the subway, in a coffee shop, or walking through a store, these small lapses in what's now considered basic courtesy can send a message. I'm not aware of how I'm affecting others. And the truth is, older adults often don't get the benefit of the doubt. People assume you should know better. So when they notice these things, they don't think, "Oh, it's a misunderstanding." They think, they just don't care. That's not the impression you want to leave behind. The good news? It's one of the simplest things to change. Start paying attention to how others move through public spaces, how they manage their tone of voice, respect personal space, or use technology around others. Modern manners aren't about being stuffy, they're about being thoughtful. They show you're still connected, still aware, still mindful of the effect you have on people nearby, and that kind of awareness earns respect. It tells the world, I may be older, but I'm still paying attention. I still adapt. I still care about how I come across. That doesn't just improve the way strangers respond to you, it changes how your family sees you too. Your grandkids notice, your neighbors notice, and they quietly admire it. Because in a world that's always rushing, someone who moves with calm awareness and quiet dignity stands out. Number 7, oversharing medical issues. We've all heard the joke. Put a few older folks together and the conversation turns into a competition over who has the worst knees or the most prescriptions. It might feel like harmless chatter or even a way to connect, but constantly talking about your health can drain the energy of the people around you. Let's face it, everyone knows that aging brings physical challenges. You don't have to fake that everything's perfect. But when every conversation circles back to what hurts, what the doctor said, or which surgery is next, people start to feel like they're stuck in a waiting room, not having a real relationship. Especially with younger family members, it can be a lot. They may not know what to say, or they may feel helpless, hearing about things they can't do anything about. So instead of leaning in, they pull back, not out of disrespect, but because it's exhausting in a quiet way. You deserve compassion. You deserve to be listened to. But when health issues become the main way you connect, the tone shifts, from bonding to caregiving, from conversation to complaint. Think about the people you enjoy spending time with. They're probably not the ones who run down every ache and medication. They're the ones who still talk about what's going right. Maybe they mention their challenges, but they don't let them take over. That doesn't mean you should stay silent about your struggles. Not at all. But be thoughtful. Pick the right moment, the right person, and aim for balance. Share what's going on with your health, yes, but also ask others how they're doing. Talk about a good book, the neighbor's new flowers, or the bird you spotted at your window. Your life is still full of moments that aren't tied to medical charts, and people want to connect with you, not just your symptoms. You might be surprised how much lighter and warmer your relationships feel when health stops leading every conversation. When you focus on what you can do, on what still brings you joy, and on the things that make you smile, something powerful happens. You don't just feel better yourself, you become someone who lifts the spirits of everyone around you. And in a world that can often feel heavy, being that kind of light is a gift in itself. Number 8, being stubborn about outdated beliefs. One of the toughest things to recognize in ourselves, especially as we get older, is when our long-held beliefs begin to act more like barriers than bridges. These are the ideas that once helped guide us, how we raised our families, built careers, made sense of life. But if we're not careful, those same beliefs can become rigid over time, out of sync with the world as it is today. You might catch yourself saying things like, "That's just the way it is," or "People are too sensitive nowadays," or even, "I don't care what the science says, I know what's right." And while you may feel certain in your perspective, what others often hear is resistance. The truth is, the world keeps changing. Technology, culture, communication, gender roles, mental health awareness, it's all evolving quickly. And when we dig in our heels, refusing to even entertain another point of view, it doesn't come across as wisdom. It sounds like unwillingness. Younger people notice. They usually won't call it out. But inwardly, they label you as someone they can't fully open up to, someone they can't talk to about certain things, someone who doesn't want to understand. And that's a real loss, because whether it's a grandchild questioning the traditional path or a neighbor living in a way you don't fully understand, there's so much room for connection when curiosity replaces judgment. Staying open-minded doesn't mean abandoning your values. It means you're still willing to learn, to grow, to listen, even if you don't agree with everything you hear. It means pulling up another chair at the table for new ideas. And here's the deeper truth. Stubbornness often masks fear. Fear of losing relevance. Fear of falling behind. Fear that letting go of certain beliefs means letting go of your identity. But your value isn't tied to how tightly you cling to the past. It shines through in how bravely you step into the present. When you can say, "I hadn't thought of it that way," or "Help me understand what that means to you," you open doors. People feel welcomed. They feel safe. And the best part? Sometimes you do change your mind, and you discover that person you were listening to was right in ways you never expected. That kind of humility is rare, and it's powerful. It's not about having all the answers. It's about staying a student of life, even as you grow older. That's the kind of person others truly admire. If you're still watching and this message resonates with you, comment number 8 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and click that button and turn on the bell so you don't miss future videos. Your support means a lot and helps us keep creating content that informs and uplifts. Now let's move forward. Number 9, moving without awareness of space. As we age, our pace naturally slows. We may feel less steady or move with more caution, and that's completely normal. But what can happen, often without realizing it, is that we become less mindful of how our movements impact those around us. You've probably seen it. Someone parked in the middle of a grocery aisle with the cart turned sideways, blocking the way while they study a label. Or someone stopping abruptly in a busy walkway, lost in thought. Or two people walking together, slowly drifting into oncoming foot traffic. These aren't done with bad intentions. Most of the time, we're simply focused on what we're doing in the moment, but to others, especially in crowded spaces or during busy times, these moments create a kind of silent friction, small obstacles that make their day just a little harder. And here's the key. People rarely say anything. They'll sigh quietly, step around, maybe give you a look, and move on. But those little moments add up. And before long, people may start to think of you as someone who's always in the way. They might avoid going shopping with you or walking through busy places together. Not because they dislike you, but because they feel like they have to constantly manage your presence. That's not the impression you want to give. With just a little more awareness, pausing to check your surroundings, noticing how others are moving, and making small adjustments, you can maintain your pace and your presence. You'll move not just with caution, but with grace, and people notice that. Now let's be clear, slowing down isn't the issue. The real challenge is awareness. You can move slowly and still be thoughtful about your surroundings. You can pause to read a label and still stay to one side. You can walk with care while remaining mindful of the flow around you. This kind of spatial awareness matters most in shared environments. Places like airports, crowded sidewalks, shopping malls, or even church hallways. Being considerate in these spaces sends a quiet, powerful message. You're still paying attention, and you still care about the people around you. In fact, this mindfulness is a form of everyday grace. It shows that you're not just wrapped up in your own world, you're present, aware, and kind. And here's the truth. Most people aren't expecting perfection. They're just hoping for a little effort, a bit of thoughtfulness. And when you offer that, it really stands out. Not because you're fast, but because you're considerate, because you move through the world with dignity and quiet responsibility. And that kind of presence, it's more powerful than most people realize. Number 10, making jokes that don't age well. A good sense of humor is one of the greatest things to hold on to as you age. It keeps your spirit light, makes others feel at ease, and helps soften even the toughest moments. But some types of humor don't age quite as well. Jokes that might have earned laughs decades ago can now quietly push people away. You might still joke the way you always have. A bit of sarcasm, a teasing comment, or a remark rooted in old stereotypes, maybe about someone's background, appearance, or lifestyle. You might even laugh as you say it and follow with, "I'm just teasing," or "Don't be so sensitive." But here's the thing. The world has changed. Humor that once leaned on making fun of differences now lands differently. Today's culture, especially among younger generations, emphasizes empathy, inclusion, and respect. When a joke seems out of step with those values, it doesn't come across as funny. It feels disconnected, or worse, disrespectful. And most people won't say anything. They'll smile politely, laugh softly, and quietly step back. You may sense the distance, but not always understand why. Now, this doesn't mean you have to tiptoe through every conversation or give up humor altogether. But it does mean choosing your words with a little more care. Before telling a joke, ask yourself, is this clever or is it at someone else's expense? The best kind of humor, especially as we grow older, is the kind that uplifts. Humor that lightens the moment without putting others down. That shows you're not stuck in the past, but evolving alongside everyone else. In fact, being able to laugh at yourself is one of the most charming traits you can have. It shows humility, maturity, and a sense of perspective. It lets people know you're not trying to prove anything. You're just here to enjoy life with others. And when people see that, they feel at ease. They open up. They stop seeing you as the older one in the room and start seeing you as someone who still gets it. A kind, self-aware sense of humor will take you far. But a thoughtful one, that will keep the door to connection wide open at any age. Number 11, acting helpless when you're not. Aging brings real challenges. No one's denying that. Things that used to be simple might take more time, more caution, or more help. And that's okay. But there's a big difference between genuinely needing help and constantly defaulting to it when you don't have to. And over time, people notice the difference, more than they let on. Maybe you've gotten used to saying things like, "Can you just do it for me?" Or, "I'll mess it up anyway." At first, those moments seem harmless, but when they become habits, even for things you're still capable of doing, they start to wear on those around you. Family members may begin to feel more like caretakers than companions. Friends might realize they're always the ones doing the lifting, organizing, or figuring things out. And even though they might smile and say, "It's no problem," deep down resentment can quietly build. And often this behavior isn't about laziness, it's about fear. Fear of messing up, fear of feeling out of touch, fear of not keeping pace. So you step back and let others take over. And with each surrender, your independence slips just a little more. But here's the truth. People admire effort more than perfection. They'd much rather see you try and stumble than give up from the start. When you show that you're still trying, still curious, still participating, your children, your grandchildren, your friends, they feel proud. They feel honored to help when it's truly needed because it comes from a place of honesty, not habit. Maintaining your independence isn't about pretending to be 30 again. It's about showing up as you are, doing what you can, and asking for help only when you truly need it. You'd be surprised how empowered you feel when you start reclaiming the little things, carrying your own bag, figuring out a remote, following a recipe without needing someone right beside you. These small wins build confidence. They show the world and yourself that while age may change how you do things, it doesn't take away your strength, your will, or your dignity. The people who truly age well aren't the ones who never ask for help. They're the ones who know when to ask and when to say, I've got this. Number 12, pretending you're always right. After decades of life, it's only natural to feel like you've earned your voice. You've made tough decisions, seen the world change, and learned countless lessons along the way. And in many cases, you're right to trust your experience. But here's where it can get tricky. When the need to be right becomes more important than the need to connect, people start tuning out. It may show up in subtle ways, correcting someone's story, insisting your method is the only one that makes sense, dismissing new ideas with a quick, trust me, I know better. At first, others may shrug it off, but over time, being around someone who always has to be right becomes draining. People stop sharing honestly. They withhold their opinions, not because you change their minds, but because it's easier not to engage. The irony, most older adults who do this aren't trying to be arrogant. They're trying to feel secure, to hold on to some authority in a world that's evolving rapidly. But when being right outweighs being kind, curious, or open-minded, it backfires. Being wise. Being wise doesn't mean having all the answers. It means knowing when to share your perspective and when to let others find their own. It means holding your views with confidence, but also with openness. Here's the quiet truth most people never say. The people we admire most aren't the ones who correct us. They're the ones who listen, who reflect, and who gently guide us to see things differently without pushing. When you stop trying to win every conversation, something surprising happens. People start seeking you out. They ask for your opinion. They trust your feedback, not because you speak the loudest, but because your words carry calm, thoughtful weight. And when you do speak, because you speak with intention, not ego, your words matter. They stay with people. They resonate. In the end, being right isn't what lasts. What lingers is how you made people feel. When you create space for others to feel heard, to be challenged with kindness, to grow without judgment, your presence becomes something they value, not something they endure. Final thoughts. Now that we've walked through these 12 behaviors, take a moment to reflect, not with criticism, but with gentle honesty. Which of these habits might have crept into your routine without you realizing? Which ones surprised you? And which are you ready to start shifting, even just a little? This video wasn't made to judge or shame. It was created to offer something far more rare, truthful insight shared with care. Because these behaviors, they don't make you a bad person. They're simply blind spots, things that quietly settle into our lives over time. But once we see them, that's when our real strength emerges. Not in pretending they don't exist, but in saying, I see it, I can grow, I still have the power to change. That's what aging well is really about. Not clinging to how things used to be, not resisting every shift, but embracing each new chapter with self-awareness, grace, and the quiet strength of someone who still wants to grow, to connect, and to be a source of light for others. So as you move forward, keep these behaviors in mind, not as a strict list, but as gentle reminders. Reminders of how to keep showing up in the world with dignity, presence, and the kind of character that makes people feel respected, seen, and inspired. And remember, it's never too late to change the way you move through the world. Even small shifts in how you speak, listen, laugh, dress, or interact can completely change how people experience you and how you experience life. Thank you for being here with us today. We'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below and share one thing you learned and how you plan to use it in your life. Your voice matters to us. Reading your reflections gives us encouragement and motivation to keep going. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support means the world. It helps us keep creating content that informs, uplifts, and inspires. Thanks again for watching, and we can't wait to see you in the next video.